Back in 2020, the first batch of HDB flats was returned back to the government upon the lease expiry. The homeowners were not compensated nor granted any extension by the government. With many Singaporeans staying in leasehold properties, many people have put in a lot of their hard-earned savings into their flat purchases. Naturally, this has sparked some debate and caused unhappiness among many Singaporeans who feel that their flats do not belong to them in the first place, and that they have been renting from the government all along. So, if you own a leasehold property, you may be wondering, what happens to my flat when the lease expires? Will I get back any money? Where will I stay after that? Let's find out more in this video. Also, a huge thank you to Own My Home as this video was produced in collaboration with them. According to something known as the Bala's curve, the value of a new leasehold property is 96% of its value. After that, the property starts to decrease value over the years. The fall in value accelerates at 3 different points, when the remaining lease is at 60 years, 30 years, and 15 years. The fall in prices be like, "Chiong ah!" When the 99-year lease is finally up, you can say bye-bye to your property because it has to be returned back to the government to be torn down and redeveloped into new projects for future generations. I also came upon this chart by user named YHC123 on Reddit. From this graph, we can see that flats that have a longer remaining lease are generally more expensive regardless of location, which further suggests that leasehold properties indeed lose their value over time as the lease shortens. But here's a question. What causes the price to drop all the way to zero? Magic. Just kidding. Instead, it's because when the property has less than 60 years remaining, buyers can only get a prorated home loan, meaning they have to fork out more cash to buy the home. Besides that, there are also additional restrictions by CPF. For example, to be eligible to use CPF for the homeowner's age plus the remaining lease of the property must be at least 80 years at the time of purchase. No CPF savings can be used if the remaining lease is less than 30 years at the time of purchase, and the maximum amount of CPF savings that can be used for the property is capped at a percentage of the lower of the purchase price or the valuation price at the time of purchase. With that being said, it's also worth noting that the price of the property does not just follow the Bala's curve directly. Instead, it's affected by many other factors such as accessibility, how close is it to facilities, maturity of the town, flat type, and estate composition. For example, here's a flat that has 58 years of remaining lease. Here's another flat that has a lot more lease of 90 years. Despite that, the first flat costs a lot more despite having significantly shorter lease. Why? That's because the first flat is located at a very convenient location, sitting right between Jalan Besar MRT and Lavender MRT. Whereas the second flat is located at Punggol, a relatively new town but not as accessible as compared to the first flat. But speaking of property prices, let me introduce this latest AI tool called HomerAI by Own My Home. With HomerAI, you can easily tell how much is your home worth right now. Not just that, it will also show you how much your neighbors have sold their homes for, how many homes have been sold, what's the lowest selling price and highest selling price. Currently, HomerAI is only trained on HDB data, but will include private property data in the next few months. In the Calculators tab, you are able to easily find out how much cash you will receive when you sell your home. Plus, use the affordability calculator to plan for your next dream home. For those who are looking to sell the home soon, you can check out the Journey tab, where you are able to engage professionals for your home journey. Own My Home is also one of the best with 5 stars on Facebook and 4.9 stars on Google. The special thing about them is that they only charge a low fee of 1% for buying and selling. Plus, they are guaranteeing that they can sell your home within 3 months at an optimal price. Otherwise, they will cut $1,000 off your commission fee. HomerAI is totally free to use, and because I have a deal with them, if you sign up using my link down below and connect your home to it, you will get a free $5 NTUC voucher. With that being said, let's get back to the video. However, here's a good news. Not all properties will depreciate all the way to zero at 99 years old. For HDBs, there's something called Selective On-Block Redevelopment Scheme, or short for SERS. In this scheme, the government will sometimes buy back selected HDB flats. This happens when the government feels that your plot of land has a better use and decides to claim back the land to redevelop it. Affected homeowners will then be given the chance to buy a brand new home with a 99-year lease at a subsidized price, compensation, and rehousing benefits. To ensure a fair compensation, HDB engages a professional private valuer to assess the market value of the affected flats. But before you shout, "Voila!" there are actually some pros and cons to this. Now, obviously, the pro is that you get to move into a brand new flat with the lease period restored to its full balance of 99 years. But the cons is that SURS is not guaranteed for every old flat. In fact, it is an extremely rare event, with only 7 SURS events that took place between 2010 and 2021. It was also reported that only 5% of all HDB flats are eligible for SURS, so only a small minority of residents will ever get the benefit from this scheme. On the flip side, if you are the lucky chosen one, you cannot opt out of this scheme as this is considered as a mandatory acquisition by the government. So regardless whether it's a blessing or a curse, this may or may not be a good thing for everyone, given that SURS will affect the entire housing cluster, which could easily involve hundreds of people. On the other hand, if you own a leasehold private property, there's an option to do a lease top-up to extend your tenure back to 99 years again. For example, Sherwood Towers, which only has 52 years left, will be able to revert its remaining lease back to 99 years. However, this is totally up to Singapore Land Authority to decide whether to approve it or not. And even if they want to approve, the total amount payable would normally go up to $1 million, in which case it's probably better to move elsewhere than to pay the additional amount just to continue living in the house. Besides that, private property owners also have an option to en bloc their property. In this scheme, residents can agree to sell the homes at the same time to the private developer or the government, and in return, receive a handsome compensation and what big. But of course, after you have sold, you can't continue to stay in your property lah. Besides that, you can also opt to sell your property before it reaches a 60 years lease balance, where prices start to fall faster. Some people have opted to buy a newer property with a longer lease or upgrade to a private property if they are able to afford it. This will help in getting the best selling price for the flat. But as mentioned earlier, there are also other factors such as location, accessibility, and so on that could affect the price of your HDB flat. However, if you do not wish to move, you can also earn extra income by renting out your spare bedrooms. This is super helpful for homeowners given the high rental prices in today's market. In 2022 alone, it was reported that HDB rental prices have increased by an incredible 20.9%. And while the rental market has slowed down a little, rental prices still remain high. For example, a 4-room flat in Bedok would easily rent for $3,000. Or if you live in popular areas such as Toa Payoh, the rent could be higher. Okay, here are my thoughts. In short, the answer is yes. Leasehold properties loses its value over time and will eventually reach zero. That's why it's important to make sure that you buy a flat that can outlive you. That way, it does not matter even if the flat depreciates to zero after 99 years, because you'll be long gone by then. But if there's a possibility that you might outlive your flat, then you need to plan ahead and make alternative living arrangements before the lease runs out. Rather than being unhappy about something that you can't control, it's probably more important to focus on the things that you can control, like making sure that you are comfortable and contented with your living space. Anyway, that's all for this video. Hopefully you find it useful. Like, share, and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.